sex is powerful because of communication. Talking about sex and talking about money are the two hardest things to talk about.
It's a sexual act, but it's not about sex anymore.
When you're able to communicate about your sexual preferences, your desires, your needs, your wants, your boundaries, that gives you power. If you're in a relationship and you feel like you're walking on eggshells when it comes to sex, or you can't really like mention things you want to explore or give feedback without being scared that your partner is going to be offended, that's a very disempowered position to be. I grew up in Bangkok, and there is a stereotype that Bangkok is super like sexually liberal, when it's not at all for people that grow up there. It is for tourists.
And I also think like everyone's on their own journey. Sometimes people start off, really using it in a painful way, and I'm holding space for that. And then it evolves to something else. Welcome back, Tomie fans. Today's guest is a powerhouse in the world of sexology, pleasure, and empowerment. Dr. Tara is an award-winning sexologist, tenured professor, author, and internationally recognized expert whose work has shaped how we talk about desire, intimacy, and sexual communication, both inside academia and far beyond it. She's the author of How Do You Like It? A Guide for Getting What You Want in Bed, a trusted voice in media and pop culture, a TV sex expert, a podcast host, and a researcher whose work bridges science, pleasure, and real-world impact. From classrooms to television to global platforms, Dr. Tara has built a career centered on helping people communicate better, feel more empowered, and reclaim pleasure on their own terms. Dr. Tara, welcome to Uncensored. I'm so excited to have you here.
That was an orgasmic introduction, so thank you so much. I have a praise kink, and that was like full on. I think you're flirting
Should I read it
with
to you
me
again? Well, yes, I am. Yeah, I'll read it to you again if you want. I was like, you do so much, and you definitely have like done so much amazing work in this space. I'm really excited to talk to you about this.
Thank you.
Dr. Tara, I'm a big fan of your work as a New York City pro-dom for the past 6 years, and I'm always looking for like-minded people who are normalizing conversations around sexuality, sex work, kink, and BDSM. And I would also love to know about your show and how are you balancing all of this?
Power of orgasms, really.
And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, like I prioritize my sexual wellness, and I think in a way I use it like coffee. Like I personally don't drink caffeine or alcohol. Like I'm sober and I don't drink coffee. So people often say like, "Oh, you seem like you're on like 5 Red Bulls or something." I'm like, just fully powered by intimacy and orgasms. I
I love
prioritize like
that.
my pleasure, my partner's pleasure, making sure my relationship's doing well, so that fuels me and my life. And I masturbate regularly. That gives me natural endorphins, gives me natural, dopamine, serotonin, the things that people need to like start their day right? But like a lot of people do it from other different methods. Like some people, might get up and like do their morning routine first. Some might go to the gym. For me, it's like I come first.
And what is your pleasure routine?
Ooh.
If people have coffee in the morning, what's your pleasure routine that makes you feel best and allows you to go about your day?
Okay, I'm a huge fan of a vibrator, like clitoral vibrator, and that's why I've had like 100, like more than 100 of them. But if my partner is rushing out for work or anything like that, then it's me and my vibrator. It takes me like less than 5 minutes. I take deep breaths, and I sort of do like little sexual meditation by myself. I
Mm-hmm.
recently have been trying not to watch too much porn because I've been watching a lot of porn. So I try not to do as much. I have nothing against porn. I'm pro porn, but for me personally, I don't want to become super reliant on it. So recently, I've just been taking deep breaths, thinking of erotic thoughts, and just using a vibrator on myself. So it could look like that in the morning. But on mornings that my husband is home, then then that's on. Yeah.
Absolutely. You have 100 vibrators? So do you have a favorite one?
I have a few different favorite ones because I believe in opening up various pleasure pathways in your brain, because your brain have different pleasure neurotransmitters, and you want to make sure that, you are not reliant on one way to. The reason why some women say they are concerned that they get desensitized by using a vibrator, it's not because that vibrator is causing desensitization in the clitoris, because that doesn't happen. The clitoris has so many nerve endings, it bounces back so fast. What happens actually is in the brain. The brain learns only one way to orgasm, and that's why when you have sex with a partner, whether it's like a female or male partner, you feel like you can't come as a woman because you only have one vibrator. That's your problem. You should have many. Because then you train your body to feel different sensations, different frequencies, different, um, almost like different types of stimulation in a way, so that your brain knows, like, oh, okay, we are able to experience orgasm and pleasure in many different ways. That's why I love like the Lelo clitoral pulsating one. I love that one. I think it's called Sona too. And then I
Lalo is
love,
such a beautiful vibrator too.
yeah, yeah, I love those. I mean, and they also have like so many cute colors. Like there's like light, like kind of lilac lavender one. There's like a black one if people like more chic. There's a white one. Like, so I love those for clitoral like pulsating feeling. Like it's kind of like clit suction in a way, but it doesn't really suck. It's like a pulsating feeling. And then
Mm.
for like quickies, and sort of easy, quick and go, I like Crave. Do you like Crave? I feel like it matches your aesthetics.
I've never used Crave before. In terms of vibrators, I use like a love sense that one of my subs actually gifted me. And
Oh.
yeah, it's really cute. A lot of my vibrators are gifted from my subs in Chastity because like
Oh.
it's their way of like tributing for to my
I
pleasure, even though
love
like they
that.
can't give it to me in any other
I
way.
love
Yeah.
that.
It's really cute.
All my vibrators, well, not all of them, but almost all of them were gifted from brands. So I guess in a way, these brands are my subs.
They are. They're, shilling it out for you. I absolutely love how open you are around your sexuality and having conversations around it. What first made you realize that these conversations were missing or actively suppressed?
Oh, it's because I grew up in such a sexually repressed environment. Like, I grew up in Bangkok, and there is a stereotype that Bangkok is super, like, sexually liberal, when it's not at all for people that grow up there. It is for tourists. Like, it was created for tourists. That's why we call it sex tourism, not like sex for locals. So, whenever, I talk about how sexually repressed Thailand was for me growing up there until I was 15, and I, left to go pursue like higher education elsewhere. Whenever I tell people about that story, I always have these like men telling me like, "Oh, well, Thailand's like last time I went to Thailand, it was not sexually repressed at all. Have you been to Soy Cowboy?" I'm like, "Shut up." Like, you did not grow up there. You went there for 3 days. You paid a prostitute to shut up. Like, you don't know what
And I
it's
hope she
like.
took all his money too.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's a little bit infuriating at times when I talk about my lived experience as a real Thai person growing up in Thailand, have these like, you know, middle-aged men correcting me about their sex tourism trip. Anyways, long story short, I grew up like super religious as well. Like my family is Buddhist. We used to go to the temple like, 2 to 4 times a week. And then I also went to an all girls Catholic school. So it's like a
Mm,
multi layer of shame. And
yeah.
when I,
Damn, that's a lot.
yeah, when I first came to America, I just felt like LA was so sexually liberating in a way. because there were sex shops that are really nice and out and open, right? Like in Thailand we don't have those, and it was just really cool to experience LA as like the first city in America that I have ever lived in. um, but actually through studying in graduate school I learned that sexual communication is like the number one struggle in long-term relationships. Like talking about sex and talking about money are the two hardest things to talk about for people in
Mm,
relationships, and they often have
mm-hmm.
conflict about that. So that then kind of gave me this light bulb moment of like, ooh, I should study something that people, like most people, find difficult, so then I can be a part of the solution to such a big problem.
Yeah, absolutely. You often frame pleasure as a form of regaining power. What does that look like in an everyday relationship? And how does that change as the relationship gets longer and more difficult sexually for most people?
Yeah, I often feel like sex is powerful because of communication. Like when you're able to communicate about your sexual preferences, your desires, your needs, your wants, um your boundaries, that gives you power. Like that is power. It's literally agency power. It allows you to step into that space where you live in like high sexual self-esteem, which then gives you this like almost euphoric feeling of confidence in every aspect of life. Because if you master the skill of talking about sex, like talking about other things are not going to be as hard, because research deemed sexual communication is the hardest thing to do. Then if you master that, then everything else should feel like something that's doable for you. You should feel very capable. So in a way, that then translates into power. But at the same time, on the other hand, not being able to do it also translates into a disempowered position. If you're in a relationship and you feel like you're walking on eggshells when it comes to sex, or you can't really like mention things you want to explore or give feedback without being scared that your partner is going to be offended or will be upset with you, that's a very disempowered position to be. And that doesn't sound like a good healthy relationship to me. So I think it gives me, that should give you like a quick, you know notification, almost like a phone notification, like a ding that like, ooh, I need to audit my relationship. Is this a relationship for me? Like, do we need a big transformation? Because after all, like, you need to be able to have hard conversations, and talking about sex is one of them, and money. So that's
Yeah.
how I equate sex with power.
Yeah, I find that in my line of work, so oftentimes I see clients or even talk to subs online where, there's so much shame, not
Mm,
just around sex, but around these like really, for me, interesting, but for them, weird
mm,
kinks and fetishes that they have a hard time talking about.
mm.
What would your three tips be for people to use in their relationships to communicate more openly about like maybe some difficult kinks and fetishes that their partner might not even understand on a sexual level?
I would say, well, first off, I'm so curious. What are some of these kinks and fetishes that have been shared to you?
Yeah, so for me, right, my three big, I have, a lot of subs and three big sort of buckets of kinks and fetishes that arise in my space is feminization, um, chastity, and the easy one for me is like pegging. I feel like pegging is like really easy to introduce to
Oh, how
people,
many how
but
many people have you pegged?
um, it's like a good handful. It's a good handful. I love pegging. It gives me a lot of gender euphoria.
Yeah.
When I am topping in that way.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, not because the penetrative act necessarily means that you're more masculine,
Mhm.
but it does make me feel like I'm able to like queer this like hyper femme presentation that
Mhm.
I'm usually in.
Mhm.
Um, But yeah, usually subs are like, oh, I don't know if my the male subs are like, oh, if I'm really into feminization, my girlfriend might not even understand
Mm.
the like cross-dressing part of it, and it's
Yeah.
that I think it can be really, really difficult to talk about because it opens up like all the stigma around who around the identity, around
Mm.
the power structure of the relationship, right?
Mm.
Or if the sub is into chastity. It's not even a it's a sexual act, but it's not about sex anymore.
Mm.
What would your sort of advice be around kinks and fetishes and communicating kinks and fetishes?
Yeah, I mean, I like oftentimes I assume that when people learn about their kinks and fetishes since like younger age, like maybe in their teenage years or in their early 20s, that they would
Mm-hmm.
then date other kinky people, right?
You would think so, but I'm shocked that they don't because, again, sexual communication is
Right.
not open.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
if people listening, if you're like in your 20s or if you're single, like date other kinky people cuz that makes it much easier to have this conversation. The conversation
Amen.
becomes so much more challenging. Not impossible to do, but challenging when the other person is like super vanilla. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
is because anything you say will kind of shock them because again, what is shock? What is the feeling of shock? It's just something that they've never heard of, right? It doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
bad or good. It's just like, oh, I've never heard of this. I'm shocked, right? So that I think that is the reality of it that everyone listening should understand that like if you are dating someone who's traditional, like you will run into um the challenge of like them feeling like whatever you're into is just like whoa out of this world even though it's not like if you're talking to your dom she would be like that's completely normal to me like
Yeah. Maybe even vanilla to me, a foot
exactly
so
she
easy.
has
Not
pegged
even
hundreds of
kinky.
men. Like it's completely normal to her. But like, oh, you might,
Yeah.
talk to your girlfriend who has only had missionary and doggy sex for her whole life. Hearing about pegging, she might be concerned, right? So it's just that's just the reality of it. But I would say my three tips for sexual communication about kinks and fetishes would be the first one is to bring it up through the method I call the media mention method. And the media mention method kind of leaves the responsibility to a third party. Like it's not your desire per se, but it's really easy to use to introduce a topic to just hear what your partner has to say. So it sounds like this. So let's say, here's my partner Patrick. He doesn't know that I'm into, let's say, what should I be into?
Um, I think feet fetishes are really easy for women. What kind of fetish is like bondage,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Like
Like
let's
I just want to be
Yeah,
restrained.
let's say
Yeah,
this is
or
my
like
partner
blindfolded.
Patrick. He's super vanilla, grew up in Ohio, and doesn't has only had missionary sex, right? Like, we're now dating, and I kind of want to tell him I'm into like shibari and bondage, but I don't want him to think like, oh, all the negative stereotypes that comes from it. That's obviously not true. Um, I would then use the media mention method. I'm like, oh my god, like I listened to this podcast today. It was so fascinating. It was like this woman who's like a professional dominatrix and she does these like shibari sessions. Have you ever heard of it? And like literally that's it. That's the start of the
Yeah.
dialogue cuz then your partner would be like, "I don't know, what is that?" And then it's just a conversation. So this is to just open things up just to hear what they have to say cuz maybe he'll say like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of it. I think it's super weird." Then you kind of like can gauge where he's at. Or maybe he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I might have seen it in porn when I was younger. Looks kind of hot, but I've never tried it." Then like you can gauge like what their level is and have a dialogue from there. And that dialogue should always be obviously, open ended to just like the experience itself, not necessarily that something is like your own kinks and fetish. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
easiest one. The second tip would be like educating your partner more about what you're into. The reason why people are anxious just about anything in the world is that they don't have enough information and knowledge. Think about it this way: if I invite you to a party and I just say, show up at my house at 8 p.m., and you have no idea, like you don't know where I live, you don't know what my house is, you don't know who's going to be there, you don't know if you should bring food, if there's going to be food, you don't know where to park, you don't know if there's going to be booze, are there going to be drugs, like what is this party, is it a sex party, is it a regular party, is it, you know, you don't have information, you're going to be so anxious, you're going to be like, oh, I don't know about this party, like I'm anxious to go. But if I invite you to my party and I tell you, here's where you're gonna park, here's what time you should show up, don't bring food, I'm gonna have a lot of food catered, don't bring alcohol, we're gonna have a bartender, and there's gonna be about 40 people, and it's just like people kind of mingling, networking. Now you know all the information. Much less anxious and much more excited to show up to the party. It's the same thing with sexual exploration. It's anxiety inducing to not know enough about something. Like, I would be anxious if my partner comes to me and be like, I want to be polyamorous. Like, if I don't know what it means and what it entails and all the variations and the meaning behind it, I would be so anxious. I would be like, what's wrong with the way we are? But then if he explains like, oh, this is what it's like, and here's the podcast to listen to, and I'm gonna also like buy you a book to read if you have time, that's like contributing to my education, to understanding more of what he's interested in, then it will be helpful for me to like feel less anxious when I know more information. And then
Hmm.
the last one, just based on research, like a lot of times, you know, when you have a conversation that is so that people so hold so near and dear to their heart, and like it's attached to their identity and who they are, it's just really hard to bring stuff up. So actually research found that finding like a third party, so like a coach or a therapist, like couples counselor, or just like, you know, kink and coach, to help you navigate the conversation, to help you moderate or mediate like a conversation between you and your partner, can actually be like super effective. So if you have the
Hmm.
resources, I would say like that method sounds the easiest to me, if you have the resources.
I absolutely agree. On the third option, I have a lot of couples actually who reach out
Yeah.
to me because like one party is interested in something and the other party is curious but doesn't have experience. And I'm like, it's kind of, the metaphor I like to use is, you can learn how to bake a cake from scratch at home, or you can go buy a cake from someone who has been doing it for
Yeah.
years, right? And sometimes it's easier to buy a cake, taste it, and be like, oh, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is what it's supposed to taste like. And that's oftentimes like my role in my job. I'm actually like meeting someone's like wife for dinner
Ooh.
this upcoming Sunday. We're gonna have a conversation, and I love it when couples come to me and they have such open communication
Mm.
around like what they're into, and then trying things out, and I can lead like one or the both of them in a session to like figure it out
Yeah, isn't
between
that such a
themselves.
great sign that they are in a good relationship?
Yeah, I think for this couple they're kind of working things out.
Yeah, but like
But
even if they're
I'm there to help
open
work
to
things
meeting
out.
you, I think that's already like a 50% win. Most people don't even,
Yeah.
they're not even open.
Yes, yes. I think I mean, I'm so happy that they're in a space to do that, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy that like I can be there and see that growth, and introduce kinks and
Oh my
fetishes to
God, you
her.
must
So I'm
be
excited
like
for
a
this dinner.
great coach because you're also you have a very calm demeanor.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
think a lot of things too, like a lot of times about kinks and fetishes, to say something to your partner, I think a lot of it is also like having someone affirm that it's normal and okay, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Because
Yeah.
most people that come to me, they don't really want any sort of therapy. They just want me to say that it's okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, normalizing it is, I think, is half the battle.
Yeah.
Like having a party who sees it as something that might be, especially in BDSM, they might see it sometimes as like abusive or harmful, and then being like, no, that's not what BDSM is. Like
Mhm.
unlearning a lot of that stigma, and then coming to a place where it's like, oh, this is play, just a different,
Mhm.
like what you said earlier, different neural
Mhm.
pathways for pleasure and pain, and sometimes that's very interlinked for
I
people.
find it like interesting in your line of work too, because like there's a lot of there's a lot of psychology, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
psychology in your line of work, but people sort of write it off as just this like whips and chains, like just, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like being a dominatrix is like you wear a leather outfit and you have a whip, and then, or like a flogger, and then you like hit someone. But there's so much psychology and role play, and it's like it's really in depth. And I'm only learning this, like, I would say I'm only learning this in a more practical manner this year. This year I was trained by a professional dominatrix, so I'm very
Oh, amazing. Wait, who is it?
Mistress Damianachi.
I know her. Yeah, I love her dungeon.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've met her before. She's
Yeah, I
wonderful.
specifically picked an Asian woman because I want to like be able to relate to someone who's like, experienced a lot of like the similar background. Anyways, I now
Mm-hmm.
have a certificate for my dominatrix training. I love showing it to people because I'm like, it's so cool. What does it say? It says certification of achievement. The dominatrix archetypes workshop awarded on the 11th. Anyways, it was so cool because as a college professor, um, I learn about things and then I teach about things in a very theoretical way. Um, I didn't have practice in it. And so for me, it felt a bit like I talk the talk, but I don't walk the walk. And I hate that feeling. I hate that
Mm.
feeling because it personally, I have so much more respect for people who do the things they say. That's why this is a bit of a rant, but I think that's why I have a hard time finding a therapist for myself, because
Mm.
unless you have the life that I look up to, I kind of don't really want to listen to you.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's completely valid.
yeah, but that's kind of hard because I feel like a lot of therapists don't have the life that I want. I'm like, you can't get your shit together, I don't want to listen to your advice, like, you know
Yeah, it's like, do you come in the morning as caffeine? No. I think I might be a little ahead.
Exactly. I don't know. Yeah, that's my like side quest rant because I've been trying to find a therapist quite a while now, someone that I like, but also someone that I like look up to. Um anyways, that was, yeah, so this year I embarked on lots of different journeys to actually practice things, like put things
Mm.
into practice. Is my
What
is my
was
practicum year.
Yay. I love that. I want to know, what was the most fun thing you learned in that training about yourself or about the BDSM psychology, or just like even something as visceral as like, I love seeing a sub cry,
Oh,
something
I actually didn't
visceral
love that
too.
at all.
I love it. Okay, what do you love
Uh,
about it?
like we
What
had
kind of play
for
do you
in the
like?
training we had two slaves that were
Yeah.
there to help us practice, and I actually, one of the slaves ended up crying because the mistress was
Oh, that's so
correcting
cute.
her for something, and I felt
Yeah.
really bad. Actually, I did not like that part at
Oh.
all. I also didn't like the part that they had to be on their knees the whole day. I
Oh, I
kept
feel like
I
that's
kept asking if their knees
good
hurt.
good boy. Oh my God, you're so sweet. Is there what did you like most about doming then? Or was
Okay.
it just like a really interesting practice for you to get
I
into?
actually really love leashing someone and walking them. I thought that was really
Oh,
fun.
cute.
Another really
Yeah.
hot thing was having them clean my boots. So like have them like
Mm.
lick the boots and then like clean off the boots. I thought that was really hot. Stepping on someone was hot too. But see, like I don't think I'm thinking of it in terms of like I'm a dominatrix. I'm thinking of it in terms of like what's fun for me. Um
Mhm, mhm.
but yeah, like I like that part. I think the most fun part was walking my slave around, well, my borrowed
Oh,
slave.
that's so cute. It's
Yeah,
like a little pet play,
yeah, pup play,
really
that
good
was
boy behavior.
fun.
Mhm.
I also learned that I'm like a princess,
Mhm.
because there's like many different types. But yeah, definitely like not a mother. um
Mhm.
Not a mother in the dungeon, not a mother in real life, no maternal instinct whatsoever. But yeah, I just like being a little bit of a bitch. Like that's all. That's
Oh,
fun.
I mean, I'm a big supporter of women being a little bitchy or a lot bitchy. Who cares, you know? I love that you're so embodied in your work and you work across classrooms, media, pop culture. Where do you see the biggest gaps in sex education today?
Oh, TV. Easy. Yeah, there's not enough sex education on television. And yet, like, so many people it's what blows my mind is how many people watch television. A lot of people watch television shows, series, movies, whatever. Like, a lot of people still do. And a lot of these people, like, they don't consume sex positive social media either. So they should get it from somewhere. And I just think that there is such a big gap of showing sex positive messages, sex education, healthy sexual communication uh, on TV. And that's why I feel so blessed that I get to do these TV shows and show sex positivity and give people some sex education along the way. Whether it's, Celebs Go Dating, the TV show that I do in the UK, which is now coming up my fourth season. And then I have a new
Congrats.
show. Well, it's not really a new show, it's an existing show, but I'm the new person on there in the US that's going to be coming out soon in fall of 2026. We just finished filming and it's a huge show, so I'm excited to for everyone to watch it when it comes out.
And where can people stream
You
that?
can stream it on HBO.
Yay.
Yeah, that
Okay.
will be coming out.
So
It should be coming out in the fall, so like August or September.
amazing. I'm so excited to watch it when it comes
Thank
out, and everyone
you.
here should
Thank
too.
you.
I would love to know, how does shame function as a tool of control when it comes to sex, especially for women and marginalized communities?
Mm,
How does shame control us?
mm.
I know where the whales are. They're on I Want Clips. For over a decade, I Want Clips has been the home for big spenders and the top earners in fetish. I've been on the platform for years, and trust me, it delivers. Join today and use the code MXTOMIE for 15% off your entire cart. And if you're an artist, you'll get 90% revenue share for your first 3 months. 90%. That is better than any other clip site platform out there. Thank you to Iwan Clips for sponsoring this episode of Uncensored.
In so many ways. I mean, when you make people feel bad about themselves, they won't have the power to speak up. And speaking up is where the liberation lies, right? There's no true liberation unless there's communication. If people are not able to communicate about their boundaries, their desires, their needs, um, they have to shove it in and repress within themselves because of the shame they can't express it, then that's a control function. That's when society tells you, like, oh, you can't talk about these things and therefore you're not in a power position. To me, I think I was not in a powerful or an empowered position up until I would say in my 30s. All of my 20s, when I had sex, I wasn't speaking up for myself at all. And a lot of times when I had sex, I only had sex to please my partner, to get validation from them, to show them what it's like to like be with someone who's like sexy or into sex and all of those things. Like, it really wasn't for my own pleasure, and I never really spoke up about anything. I faked so many orgasms, but all of that was also through shame. Like, I just felt like I wasn't deserving of like pleasure, of people taking care of me, of all those things. So I just shove it in and perform. And I was really good at performing, but you can only do that for so long. And that's why
Mm-hmm.
I got a divorce from my first husband, because, we got married and he was a great guy, but we got married because I felt a lot of shame that in my culture, the women, like the girls in my grade, like they were getting married in their early 20s. Like, I was already approaching late 20s and I felt like, oh, I'm too old, like I'm not going to be desirable in society. And that shame like propelled me to find someone really quick, just get married really quick so I can have the quote unquote perceived success, right, in our culture.
Mm.
And we had a good relationship for a couple of years, but then again, that like lack of compatibility kind of caught up to us. And that was really when I took a huge turn and change into this person, someone that speaks up all the time and not letting shame repress me and how I feel in my voice, to make sure that I'm always sexually liberated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's such a powerful story because a lot of divorces and relationships ending is because of somebody performing,
Oh, yeah.
right? Or two people
It's
performing, thinking
exhausting.
that this is what a relationship is supposed to look like because of these really arbitrary timelines set by
Yeah.
social standards.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I personally had to go through all of that. And like the divorce itself was also really shameful in my culture. No one gets a divorce. Like in Thailand, even if you're in an unhappy marriage, you just stick together. Like that's what you do, right? Like getting a divorce is
Mm.
very selfish. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, you only
very
care
much the
about
same in
yourself.
East Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much the same in Taiwan too.
Yeah.
Like people don't get divorced, and I'm like, you really
Yeah, you
should.
really
Like
should.
at least not be in the same
Like it
house.
will be
You
healthier
know?
for your kids. Like people think they should stay together for the kids, but then they're so bitter, and then there's a lot of like verbal aggression and passive aggressiveness. None of that sounds good to me. So I'm like, just get a divorce and be happy, please.
Yeah, I find kinks and fetishes really interesting because it's like eroticizing shame a lot of times, right? Like eroticizing the humiliation or
Mm-hmm.
the degradation. And in some ways it's the eroticism is contingent upon the shame being present
Mm-hmm.
sometimes and then taking control of it through another person. And I find the psychology of that in my space really, really fascinating compared to like the vanilla world.
I have a question for you. Like, how do you know the line between like, oh, this is like humiliating and shaming for the sake of pleasure and empowerment versus like this is humiliating and shaming them to get even worse in their shame?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, I want to think about this a little bit because I've had subs where it's really clear which side of the coin they're on in terms of that. And I think it comes down to if they have a healthy self identity and if they've accepted this part of their personality. For subs who are more confident around like, hey, I'm into this like really weird thing, but they're able to get into the headspace of like, yeah, but still embarrassing on a social level, right?
Mm.
Like socially, this is still embarrassing. Socially, it's not accepted, and they can still go into that headspace.
Mm.
And then there's subs who are humiliated and degraded as an extension of them not liking themselves at
Mm.
all. And that's when it looks really ugly and bad. And that's like, I'm creating a space where, yes, we're eroticizing it. And this is space where you can indulge in that. But like, let's work towards in the aftercare portions of like, let's talk about like, hey, what are you using this for?
Mm.
And if you're using humiliation and degradation sometimes as a form of like really negative self-harm, then that's something you're going to have to talk to a therapist about. Like that's
Mm.
beyond like my capacity now. I'm here to play, but I want to play in a way that is beautiful
Mhm.
even if I'm holding pain, even
Mhm.
I'm holding like emotional and psychological pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I also think like everyone's on their own journey. Sometimes people start off, really using it in a painful way, and I'm holding space for that. And then it evolves to something else, right? It's always a spectrum. And I think in the human experience, it's okay to kind of go back and forth in between those states. Subs are not always in the best headspace. And it's okay for them to kind of shift and
Mhm.
use their kinks and fetishes as they're shifting.
How do your subs like find you? How do the clients find you?
Yeah, I mean there's a few different ways. So I'm online a lot now. I have, an in-person website, I have an advertising site. So people find me in all sorts of ways. For the in-person subs, it's primarily my SEO strategy. I have a team of 8, and
Wow.
I have a SEO person.
Like a
Yeah.
full SEO person. Like
Yes,
whenever
yeah.
someone searches dominatrix, I am first on the search.
Yeah, we're dominatrix NYC. There's like a whole list of things that
Yeah.
we're trying to hit. Yeah,
Wow.
but that's the way they find the in-person stuff, and then the digital stuff is like, fan sites, podcasts, clip sites, YouTube, like the whole, the whole
And then
content,
where's your
the whole
dungeon?
content grind. I don't own a dungeon. I rent from independent dungeons around the US and also
Ooh.
internationally. I love checking out dungeons. Like
Yeah.
every dungeon has its own personality and the way it's set up and perks, and perks of each one that others don't have.
Yeah, on the TV show that is gonna be coming out in the fall of 26, we did something in the dungeon as well, and it was really really fun.
Ooh,
It's
which
kind of cool.
one?
I can't tell you, but it's kind of cool.
Uh,
It's kind of cool that like there are actually so many dungeons around the world, especially in metropolitan cities.
mm-hmm.
Like even in LA alone, I bet there's like, I mean, my own counting, there's like 10. But like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not even in that industry, so there's probably way more.
I love going to a city and like you don't know which corner you're turning, but like, something kinky's going on. And there's like a dungeon in an apartment or like in a weird
Yeah.
warehouse or a basement. And you just don't know unless you're in community. And it feels like when I started this industry, it feels like the veil of the city has been lifted, where I'm like, oh, I'm really getting to know like
Mm.
the people here now. I'm really getting to know the underground community. And there's something really liberating about
Mm.
that for me.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I'm not specifically in the BDSM community, but like this year I've been exploring a lot in that. Like I went to Ibiza and there was this dominatrix that had her practice inside her apartment. And when you go into the apartment, you wouldn't know, but then you won't go into a room and there's a whole Shibari setup with like the thing that she can like pull you up and like suspend. What is it called? Suspension? Suspend.
Yeah, suspension.
Yeah, put you in suspension and everything. And I tried that for the first time earlier this year, and it was
How did
like
you
so
feel?
liberating. I cried.
All that tension is it the tension or the pressure? What was it about the suspension that made you cry?
I think I cried because the whole session, which was about an hour, or maybe more, maybe 90 minutes, it just felt like someone was really taking care of me, and I was in
Mm.
a controlled space where I didn't have to make any decisions or say anything. And as someone who like always has to make decisions, run my team, run my business, like it's kind of nice to just be held like that for a bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I have a lot of subs in like high power positions where it's like I just want 2 hours or
Yeah.
whatever where I have all of that pressure go
Yeah.
away. I don't have to think. I don't even have to think about how I move.
Oh, I bet.
And
Yeah.
just the liberation of that, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of sessions, what parallels do you see between your work as a relationship coach and the structure of a dominatrix session?
Ooh. Ooh, I love that. Um, I think the first thing that I see is people getting the relief of, whatever they're looking for from the session. Um, Having that training earlier this year and observing what happens between like the mistress and her slave, I can see that the slave was very was like fulfilled in a way, even though it's through um mediums where I wasn't used to. uh, but like in both things, people leave the session feeling relieved and fulfilled, which is ultimately what you want in life, right? Like feeling relieved and happy, like fulfilled. So that's really cool. I would say another parallel is people showing their true self. Maybe in their own personal life and relationships they wear a lot of different masks. Maybe at the office they wear this mask, at home with their spouse they wear a mask, but in relationship therapy or in the dungeon with a dominatrix, like you get to be your true self and you get to speak up. Well, not necessarily speak up in that way, but like you get to express who you are. And
Yeah.
I find that really beautiful. Through relationship therapy, I think people it, there's a lot of like twists and turns for people to even get to a spot where they will actually share how they feel. But once they do, you can see it on their face. Like this is this cloud that's like lifted and it's gone because now they have said it, and it's like, oh shit, it's out. Um, in a way, it's kind of cool to see like that people become their true selves, whether it's in relationship session, coaching session, or in a dominatrix session.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful way of putting it. I do find that people just really want to be seen for who they are in even their like filthiest, most perverted, like weird, sad moments.
Hmm.
Like that's oftentimes what's being held when you're going through a session or going through relationship
Hmm.
coaching. It's can be quite similar. The
Another
session's
one
more
is,
embodied,
yeah,
obviously, but
another one is
it's just
crying.
yeah.
Like, I mean, people
Oh, I
cry in
love
both.
crying so
Yeah.
much. I love seeing crying because it's I love seeing subs cry, subs laugh. Any involuntary reaction, like an orgasm, right,
Yeah.
is really beautiful for me to see. Like it's like, oh, your body's taking over now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we have created experience, your body's taking over.
Yeah.
Um, why do you think conversations about BDSM still make people uncomfortable?
Ooh. Well, I think it's because it's still unconventional. Um, I know that there's, BDSM now like on TV, and there's like movies that popularize it, like 50 Shades of Grey, even though a lot of,
Such a bad
I
movie.
know
Such a
a
bad
lot of my
movie.
dom friends are like, "Oh, it's so bad. It's like misrepresentation." But some of them say like as long as it's normalizing somewhat of a, the BDSM lifestyle, and make people hate it less, then I guess it does the job. So I can't really
Uh-huh.
say, because I'm not like an active practitioner in it, but I can't but like seeing that there's more and more mainstream acknowledgments of BDSM, you would think that it's easier now to talk about. But it's not at all. I think people are still very uncomfortable talking about it because of how unconventional it is for them. Because if you think of
Mm-hmm.
what is conventional, it hasn't expanded that much. And
Mm.
we can't look at Los Angeles or New York for the definition of conventional.
Yes.
Because it's not. Like if
Mm-hmm.
we look at like statistics and like where people exist and what they're into and what their lives are, like conventional is still very much the same for the last,
Mm-hmm.
30, 40 years. um so there hasn't been a lot of growth in terms of what's more acceptable now. um I do think though that, n- with the next generation and with like social media, there will be a spike, like a quick accelerated rise in people understanding and practicing more of BDSM. And I'm saying this because I teach Gen Z, right? Like in college, like I teach college, and college students now are like Gen Zs, and they are so informed about these things. Like I've had students that, they go to these kink parties or gatherings in LA, and I've had students that share with me that they are, like, you know uh they do, oh God, what is it, like they're top, but they're side top or something like that. And then they, like, there's so many terms like for Gen Z.
Yeah, I've never heard of side
Yeah,
top. I
they're
don't know
they're like
what
a
that
top, a
means.
side top, and they're in this relationship with this person, but they're both aromantic. So,
Yes.
like they're both asexual, aromantic, but like it's so interesting to me. And I love it because there's more acceptance of different things, and there's more people seeking more knowledge about it. But I don't know. Do you think that it's becoming more talked about and acceptable?
I think more people are it's hard to tell because I'm so deep in my industry that sometimes I forget like, oh, what is the general public used to or talking about? Like for me, pissing on somebody feels vanilla. It's like really, it's like spitting on someone
Pissing on
almost, right?
somebody feels vanilla.
does. For me, it does because I've been in this industry for like 6 years, and I've been kinky for so long
Yeah.
that like certain things for me feels really normal, and then I have to like, you know, yeah, see that large set data and talk to people who are vanilla to be like, oh yeah, this is like still a really unique experience for the majority of individuals. I do think it's talked about a little bit more, but I also think BDSM almost relies on being, again, right?
The
Like
shock
it also
value.
not shock value necessarily, but it necessarily needs to be on the margins of the mainstream for it to be BDSM, right? Like I'm thinking about like choking, for example. I think choking was more taboo back in the day, and now it's become more normalized. I don't, and it's normalized in a way that is needs more sex education around, because that's actually something that you need to be really careful about, and most people don't know it. And so there's aspects of BDSM becoming normalized, I think people need to be careful
Yeah.
around. And I think it's cool that there's more conversations around BDSM, but I feel like there's always this it necessarily needs to be niche, it necessarily needs to be on the outside of the circle
Yeah. That's
for
interesting. So
the
you think it should
for the
it like it needs to always be like that?
I like, how do we define what's vanilla and what's not vanilla, right?
I
Like,
guess if you like
um,
have 100 people in a room that kind of all are from different parts of the United States, for example, and then
yeah.
you have them raise their hand if they think this is like quote unquote normal or not.
Yes, exactly. So whatever is considered BDSM, I think it necessarily needs to be nicher than whatever the mainstream vanilla concept is.
Yeah.
So for example, I did talk to this one guy, this is at like a civilian party. And he
Civilian
overall
party.
like, yeah, like the 9 to 5s, the 9 to 5 people.
That's so fun. I've never heard
And
of that before.
yeah, it's like non-sex workers are civilians. It's like something people in the industry say. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, I tell everyone I'm a dominatrix, I just want to normalize it again. And I'm very self-assured. And I'm confident in what I do. So I don't, even if it's a tough conversation, I'm very okay with having that conversation. And he thinks like sex should only be in like two positions, and even doggy style is like not
What?
okay. So for him, doggy style is kinky because that like position is like for him degrading for the woman because you're not seeing her face or whatever. So like
Oh.
I think the definition is so contextual
Mm,
sometimes too.
mhm.
Yeah, but that's just
Interesting.
my take on it.
Yeah. But you're right. I feel like for kings to be sort of like a little bit more like mysterious and edgy, like it can't just be, something existing in like Target,
Yes,
right? Like
yeah.
or else it kind of
Uh-huh.
loses that like excitement.
Yes, exactly. I think there necessarily needs to be a underground factor to
Yeah,
it, a
yeah.
niche factor. Um, right, because so much of kink and fetishes requires some level of shame to
Mhm.
be like erotic,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I can see that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't drink alcohol anymore, but like it's kind of like I remember going to Prague and like my tour guide was like, "Oh, you got to go check out this underground absinthe bar." Right? Which is like
Uh-huh.
like you go in and it's underground and there's so many types of absinthe. Like I had no idea. I thought absinthe was just that one alcohol that's green. But there's literally 40 types. And I remember that experience being like so cool and unique, and it's just something that you don't get in your daily life. It's not like, cracking a white claw that you got from Walmart. Like it's the same thing with, I think, BDSM and like kink in general. Like needs to feel like a certain way and not just, white claw that you get from Walmart.
Yeah, I also think it's like a lot more complicated too. There's like a level of
Yeah.
complication to the psychology of
Yeah.
it that's required of kinks and fetishes,
It's a lot of
which is
work
why I
in a
have my
way.
job. Yeah, like I've been doing this pro for 6 years. I've never had the same person. Like in terms of it's never been a repeat experience. Every single one has been unique in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
even if they have the exact same kinks and fetishes, just because of the way they grew up or the way they talk or the way they act and the space they're coming in from. And it unlocks something different in me and sort of a different facet of me as a dom too.
Wow.
To end this section before we get to the quick fire, how does your role on Celebs Go Dating influence the way you talk about sex and relationships with a broader audience?
Ooh, I try to be, completely myself, very like upfront, unapologetic, say it like it is. But at the same time, it is mainstream television, so there are a lot of words that are actually like not permitted in that context. So, I think there is a balance between like who I am in person, how I portray myself on social media, and how I portray myself on mainstream television. I take my role as like the sexpert on the show very seriously, so I try to always like insert like a point of conversation about sex or sex positivity or normalizing some sort of concept like every time that I can. Like if there's a scene where I can mention like, oh, it's totally okay to use a vibrator, I would say that and try to get that message across. So whenever there's an opportunity, I am normalizing sex positivity and sex conversations always.
Amazing. I would love to go to the quickfire section now. Let's switch gears, lighten things up a little bit, and this quickfire segment is presented by iwantclips.com. Short answers only, and it's the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. What is a pleasure people overthink too much?
Nipple play.
Love that. Something that instantly makes you feel more in your body.
Sexual meditation.
How do you do sexual meditation?
It's sort of like regular meditation, but you take deep breaths and you try to think of sexual thoughts or sexual feelings in your bodies and sensations in the erogenous zones.
Amazing. A conversation about intimacy we avoid, but really shouldn't.
Kinks and fetishes.
Thank you for the representation. A habit that's underrated for better connection.
Sexy check-ins. Once a month, asking each other like, how would we rate our sex life this last month, and what else do we want to do next month?
What's a sound, scent, or sensation that grounds you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Scent. I love scent. I would say scent of like some sort of essential oil like jasmine or something Asian.
What is one thing that kills intimacy faster than people realize?
Complacency.
A question partners should ask each other more often.
What else can I do for you?
Amen. What do you think pleasure is trying to teach us?
That you are allowed to be whoever you want to be.
What does feeling safe actually mean in intimacy?
Regulated nervous system.
And to end, what does being uncensored mean to you today?
Sexual communication anywhere I go. Because without communication, there's no sexual liberation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tara. If you want more of her, check out the links below. And if you want to listen to our Patreon exclusive, go over there. We're going to have the uncensored cut. Thank you, Dr. Tara.
Thank you. Bye.
I know where the whales are. They're on I Want Clips. For over a decade, I Want Clips has been the home for big spenders and the top earners in fetish. I've been on the platform for years, and trust me, it delivers. Join today and use the code MXTOMIE for 15% off your entire cart. And if you're an artist, you'll get 90% revenue share for your first 3 months. 90%. That is better than any other clip site platform out there. Thank you to I Want Clips for sponsoring this episode of Uncensored. Thanks for watching this episode of Uncensored with MX Tomie. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're a very good sub. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon, and all the other apps that I'm on. I'll see you on the next one.